Hi and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to be opening a Glarry bass. Now I'm not a bass player. I think I picked one up 4 or 5 times for a minute or two that friends have owned or bass players have had. But I don't have access to a bass player or a drummer anymore. So besides the drum program I've been using, I thought it was time to get a bass and learn how to do something with it. So I thought I would start with something very inexpensive. And we have a Glarry. This is a bass kit. It has the inexpensive amp with it as well. Not so much because I wanted to try the amp out, but it was the only way to get the bass I wanted at the time. But I can also use the little practice bass since I don't have a bass amp, and maybe see if we can make it work a little better over time. Although from the reviews I've seen in the past, the little bass amps tend to work better than the little guitar amp, so I have a little bit of hope for this. But anyhow, let's go ahead and open this puppy up and get into it. Now, in the past, I have had guitars that were supposedly Glarry guitars. They were ordered from eBay vendors, and the box did not say Glarry when they arrived, nor did the guitars. So this is the first thing I've ordered directly from Glarry, and this was $110, $109.99. But it is directly from Glarry, so I know that I'm getting what they offer as far as value and quality. Okay, let's see here. All right. We have a giant slide-out piece of cardboard, so I'm going to have to do this a little bit off camera for a moment. Alright, we've got tape on the foam, and we do not need white foam everywhere, so I'm going to cut this tape before I move the box into view for you guys. Oh, we've got popcorn foam going everywhere anyway. But I can say that I've had a lot more expensive guitars packed not this well already, and I haven't even got inside the top layer of foam yet. So, spin this around so you can see what it looks like. This is how the pack looks when you get it. Amp up top. Ooh, a lot of that little light foam everywhere. It looks like Christmas. Kind of feels like Christmas. So, standard, very thin gig bag. No padding to it, but better than nothing. At least you can carry it around. Now, that little amp is actually heavy. It's a little 20 watt. We'll go ahead and get it out of the plastic. It looks quite shallow, especially for a bass amp, so that may be where any issues reside. But I'll say this, it's heavy and it feels very sturdy. Doesn't feel anything like the guitar amp I had. But again, that didn't come directly from Glarry. Even this amp says Glarry on it, and it's quite a different layout from the inexpensive guitar amp that came with the eBay version I got. Okay, so I'm going to just hold this up real quick. It's pretty standard, but it's better than nothing. And now for the guitar. Or bass, I'm sorry. And of course we do have a strap and Allen wrench and cable kit in there as well. Now this is pretty light for a bass. I would expect that with Glarry. Their guitars are light from everything I know about them. But it doesn't feel like it's, you know, paper thin or anything. I mean, it's got a little bit of weight to it. Okay, let's get this off here. Well, I do like the design of the headstock. It's got pretty wood in it. So, the tuners are open gear. You can see that. But it looks pretty cool, kind of a vintage look to it. I don't know how common that is amongst basses. I know I've seen it on a couple high-end basses here and there. So it may just be something you get on basses fairly often. We just have white foam and fuzz going everywhere still. Ooh, the plastic's curled up just a little bit, but I'll peel that later. So this is what we have, is a blue burst, or blue to black burst, if I can get this light to catch. So this is a P-bass style. It's a hardtail bridge system. So the back is solid black. Have a standard 4-bolt. It's a maple neck with some decent figuring. I believe it said it's a rosewood fretboard. I'll have to double check that. But just a standard 3-ply white pick guard. We do have chrome knobs, or chrome looking knobs. So overall it looks really nice. I love the color of blue. Sorry, I'm having a hard time getting it. Let me stand up with it and see if I can. The wood grain is fairly light in this one, unlike some of the other ones I've seen, but it is a very nice even pattern, and the burst effect and the paint job is really good. So I'm not seeing anything in the finish that I can complain about, at least not at first glance here. Maybe a little rub mark, but I think that'll buff out. Everything feels tight. No loose jacks. The pots seem to work good. So, the pickups look like they're nice and level. It's got a nice contour up here. Of course, a belly carve. So let's go ahead and plug this thing in and see what I can do with it. That should be scary. I think I'll tune it first. Be right back. Okay, so I had to turn the secondary lighting off. I needed the plug for the amp. Now I've got the amp right here at my feet, and it's pointing up at about a 10-degree angle is all I can get out of it. So we're going to try it there, and that's really the only place I can get any sound, so we'll see what it sounds like. Now I do have a buzz, and I have heard this before about the Glarry basses. As soon as I take my hands off the strings, I've got a pretty nasty buzz. It goes away completely when I touch the strings. I don't know if it's grounding in the bass, it's cable, the amp. I've got some interesting electrical issues in this house from time to time, but it's fine when I've got my hands on the strings, which is where they're going to be most of the time anyway. The feel of this neck is amazing. The feel of the frets are really nice. I don't know much about bass action, but this is pretty low. I mean, this is very comfortable to play. I've played guitars that were worse, in all honesty, and this is lower than at least 2 of the basses I've played in the past. It's very close to my friend's Ibanez, actually. But let's go ahead and hear what it sounds like. This is everything all the way up on the guitar. On the amp, I've got treble, bass, and mid all set to half, and I've got the volume up. Oh, I think it's also about half. So and I'm not a bass player, so sorry, I'm going to use a pick. Okay, so I definitely think the base is great for the price. It looks really good for the price. No real finish flaws or anything. The neck and the frets feel amazing. I thought it sounded really good. I haven't heard the playback yet, so I don't know how it sounds through this video. But in person, that little lamp is actually pretty impressive. At half volume, it wasn't breaking up or cracking. It may not do that for everybody, but I was quite happy with it actually. And the guitar, or the bass itself, it's got low action. I didn't find any fret buzz going down the frets. I'll try that again later to make sure. But the only problem I had with it at all is the tuners feel extremely cheap, which that seems to be the case with a lot of these inexpensive guitars. Is the tuners, they work fine. In fact, they weren't even jumpy or anything. They almost feel like they want to break as you're turning the pegs. But again, for the price, there's no complaints. The amp works great, and it can go a good bit louder. At that volume, I wouldn't play louder than that in this room. So it's great for me where I'm at, and I'm really happy with how it looks and how it feels. So I think this is a great package, especially for a beginner like myself, even though I am an experienced guitar player. This is definitely something to get in with and not have to spend too much money. So we have, one more time if I can get some good light on it. It's a blue to black burst. And it is transparent, but it's hard to see. And again, the neck actually has some pretty interesting figuring on it. Looks really nice. And we have the open tuners. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do like this kind of content, please click like and subscribe. Click the bell icon to stay notified. Leave me some comments and suggestions. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, stay safe. Keep playing.